First of all, again, before I begin, I would like to thank the organizers for the opportunity and for the invitation. And I'm very glad to be with you, even from long distance. This is perhaps one of the really few good things about the pandemic, the development of these type of technologies. I have to say before the beginning that Dr. Jacqueline Ballen was absolutely right. Our presentations are very much linked, but I will try to skip the things that she has already presented, which are related to our common project. So as you can see, the title is Virtual Reality Experience and the Valorization of Local Medieval Heritage. And our two case studies are the medieval town of Cherven and the rock-hewn churches of Ivanovo. So at the first slide, I hope that you can see it.
Yes.
Yes, I'm showing you two very old, actually one old photograph and one old sketch from the 19th and the early 20th century, where you can see only a single fortification tower standing literally among nothing. This is the famous Tower of Cherven, and this comes to the point of valorization of heritage. Back in the days, during...
We cannot see your pictures, please.
Full screen.
Open your full screen. Yes. Now it's okay.
Okay, I have this trouble again. Maybe we can do it this way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it okay like this?
It's
yes.
Okay. Sorry about this. So this is the famous tower of Cherven, and a little bit of overview about the medieval town of Cherven. What you can see on the image, I hope so, is the citadel of the medieval town, which the way it looks nowadays. You can very easily see that the state of preservation of this medieval town is not very high. The only thing that is still standing as it has standed during the Middle Ages is the famous Tower of Cherven. So why is this associated with the valorization of heritage, especially by the locals? Because this medieval town functioned until the very end of the 15th century. And then the residents decided that they no longer have to live uphill where there is no water. And they started to move in the foot of this hill, taking with them the construction materials from their own homes. So actually, the medieval town was demolished by the local residents themselves. But in the course of demolition, they decided that only the tower should be left intact. For what reasons, we do not know, but we are thankful because nowadays this is one of the really few fortification towers in our country that is preserved as it was back in the days. Again, related to the overview, you can see that the highest peak of this town was during the 12th and the 14th century. It had very strong relationship with the Bulgarian capital at that time. It had developed commerce and crafts. It was a major Christian center for northeastern Bulgaria. And nowadays, the archaeologists have unearthed fortification walls, the Castle of Cherubin, 16 churches until now, but maybe there are more, vast residential zones, craft workshops, bronze foundries, and so on. But as you can see later, the current state of preservation of this town can be a problem for the public. Before we continue, I would like to show you a few words again about the next site, the rock-hewn churches of Ivanovo, which is a World Heritage Site of UNESCO. This is the outlook nowadays from the outside. It is literally a church which is cut into the rock, into the limestone cliff. This is the inside of the church nowadays. Especially the frescoes are the reason that this site was made a UNESCO site during the session in 1979. It is a good example of the so-called Paleologan Renaissance. And about the churches in general, it was a very large monastery complex which consisted of 5 such churches and more than 100 of different cells and premises associated with the life of the monks. The monks that resided there are followers of the so-called hesychasm, which is a concept where men, especially spiritual men, should try its best to run away from contact with people. And it was a major Christian concept in the Orthodox world during the 14th century in Byzantium and in Bulgaria. So this was the overview. how do we narrate the story of the Middle Ages in the region of Ruse? Now, we have mostly, how to say, methods from the classical museology. We have information boards on each of the sites. We have did our best to put as many visualizations as possible in 2 languages at least, and different links which can direct to some digital content. The other part of the story is told at the Museum of History in Ruse, where last year we opened a brand new permanent exhibition, which is dedicated especially to the Middle Ages. You can see a photograph of it. Of course, there in the Museum of History, we are presenting the artifacts that were found on the site. But if you allow me, I have to say that this decontextualization of the items is a problem for the site itself, because nowadays on the site, you can see the site and you can see the items 40 kilometers away. Again, within the premises of the permanent exhibition, you can see small-scale models, videos, and from recently holograms. But how could this narrative be made more relatable? And this brings us to the project that Dr. Balen actually told a lot. This is the Danube Archaeological E-Landscapes project that we're conducting together for the last year and a half, and we have less than a year to finish. I will skip again to say this part, but due to this project, we actually received the possibility to think larger and to think about virtual experience. So again, we also made creative labs and hubs workshop. We gathered specialists from different fields and we designed a scenario. But what is specific in our situation is that this is a first such thing for our institution and largely for Bulgaria. I have to say this. So in this situation, everything that we thought about had to be with open end. No one actually believed that we are going to construct something that will be started and finished and it is ready. We all the time consider this to be a first step, which is going to be developed further in if we have the luck to participate in future projects, of course, because such things are really expensive, I have to say. And now to be a little bit more specific. The photograph that I hope that you can see right now is of the Castle of Cherubin. This is the most important building. This large space with the audience inside, you can clearly see the state of preservation nowadays. So nowadays, the audience sees only walls that are meter and a half high, and it doesn't matter how vivid the story you're telling them, or how interesting the text they're reading, or how clear the two-dimensional photographs or drawings they're seeing. Nothing can be compared with a virtual experience, which actually allows them not only to see it like this, but also to get inside and to interact with the different things that a castle has for them. So this is the Castle of Cherubin, along with one of the major temples that, of course, I have to say another thing. Everything is a hypothesis, and this is a good thing about digital technologies. If some specialist nowadays comes up with a more argumented theory for the outlook of this castle, everything can be changed. And this does not affect the original remains in any way, which is a good thing. Actually, what Cherubin is famous for is its originality, because we have a lot of examples in Bulgaria where castles were rebuilt, especially in the period of socialism, and the originals were this way destroyed. And it doesn't matter that nowadays we have different theories for the outlook. Everything there is poured with concrete and it is irreversible. So again, a photograph of the citadel, an image of the citadel of the medieval town of Cherubin, as it may have looked like in the 14th century, and a little bit of a feeling from the main commercial street. Again, to say, as part of this experience, all of our visitors will be able, through VR sets, to walk through the main streets, perhaps to interact with a merchant to buy something. Another thing, we have also scanned original artifacts that were found on the site. So hopefully our visitors will be able literally to buy a plate which our colleagues archaeologists have unearthed in this specific place. And the next site, again, the rock-hewn churches of Ivanovo. Again, this is the outlook nowadays.
Excuse me, Dr. Velikov, 5
Yes?
minutes more.
Okay, I'm finishing. This is the
Okay.
outlook which is presumed to have looked during the 14th century. This is the inside of the church nowadays. And this is the virtual reconstruction of the interior. This is the place to thank our developers, because these are technicians, great ones, but they have nothing in common with the feeling of heritage. And building this reconstruction was a great endeavor for them. And nowadays we have a lot more, how to say, fans of heritage because of this interaction with them. This is the altar and the main premise. This is a general view. And for a final, I have placed a photograph of a different type of reconstruction. This is a clearly offline reconstruction on the site. This is one of the medieval fairs that we conducted until before the pandemic on the site of Cherubin, with which I want to say that nothing of this type can be replaced through digital reconstruction. Thank you very much.